Hello everybody, it's Fadama here from Enable Ireland. I work in the Speech and Language Department and I hope you're all keeping well and safe at home at this time. Sheila, Colleen and I would like to welcome you to the tutorial, and we are looking forward to showing you a technique to teach vocabulary to your child at home. If you're viewing this tutorial, you should have received our home material pack, and I'm going to go through that now in a moment. Just before that, just to say that your feedback is very welcome. So if you have any comments or any feedback to give us, we'd really appreciate that. And just also to say that we will be going through games at home at the end of the session, at the end of, I suppose, the demonstration of how to do the actual technique. Sheila will be going through the various vocabulary games and the various. There's some free apps there online that you can use for vocabulary as well. And we'll go through, as I said, we'll go through the main outline now. So, as I said, if you're viewing this tutorial, you should have received a number of things either by email or by post. You'd have gotten these, you've gotten these pictures with various headings on them. So you have material, categories, you have opposites, you have senses, you have parts, associations, who, what, where, rhymes, actions, and the beginning or middle or ending sound sheet. Okay. Also there you'd have a session plan, and Colleen has made you a nice session plan there, so that give you a good outline as to what are the steps involved. Also, we have given you some pictures, so they're just one picture, and they will hopefully help you to get going and just to be able to start using pictures. Now you can start using pictures, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using those pictures to create a what we call a semantic map, and using the headings that we just saw. So children might want to use a concrete object, or at home you can pick any kind of object at home, or you can use pictures when you're actually doing the technique. And also here is like almost like a spider map, and that's something that we'll ask you to fill in maybe during the session if your child is doing it, and also maybe before, but we'll go through that now with you in a minute. So just to say to you, if anybody has, I suppose, been to one of our groups or our speech and language groups, we would normally take your child in before the group starts to do a pre-measure of the skills that we're working on. Okay, so that's something we would do. And then, as I said, we would do the normal sessions in the clinic. And then afterwards, maybe a few weeks or a couple of months afterwards, we would measure your child's skills again. So what we want to do is we want to get the measure of their skills before and after the session, and have a look at the difference. And I said, you're always going to get a difference. It's just to see, okay, well, what are their skills like now? So as I said, so maybe we want to go through that with you in terms of measuring their skills. So that's something, as I said, I'd like you to do at home. So to get a pre-measure of the skills, what we're going to ask you to do is note your child's responses to maybe two types of questions before they begin. So, and I want maybe to use this map and just to take down what they say, and their ability to describe, say, an object. So you can take something very simple. As I said, we have you have pictures there, and I think one of the pictures you have there might be something like a helicopter. So if you want to just, I said, in a very I said, not a testing kind of situation or anything, but just very casually in a nice, calm environment, very relaxed environment, ask your child about maybe to describe a helicopter. Okay, so what you're looking for to see if he or she can tell you about it, and what can they tell you about it. So you're asking, you're looking to see, okay, can they tell you that a helicopter flies in the sky, who flies it, can they tell you where you might normally find it or see it? You can maybe ask about, can they tell you about who might you associate with the helicopter, that kind of thing. Can they tell you what parts it contains, anything like that. So note down anything they say about a helicopter. And I said, that's what we want to see is, okay, what are they coming up with themselves before they have any intervention? So that's really kind of a concrete object. So maybe you could ask maybe something that's not concrete, and maybe looking outside here, maybe something like spring. Okay, ask them to tell you about the topic spring. So what can they tell you about spring? All right, and just again write down anything they say, any of their responses, and just keep that to one side, and we'll be asking you for that again, and just to see what their responses were. So once you have gotten your pre-measure, okay, so what I would do is I would begin by taking out the pictures, and now you might start off with, this might be a step-by-step. Some children would be fine taking out every single picture and other children won't. So you might begin by taking out the picture or pictures and asking your child to maybe talk to you about what this means and what category means, or who or what means. So you could, and then you can use things around the house. So you can say, okay, we'll look at, oh, that's a chair. What category does that belong to? And talk about various categories, like, okay, so that's furniture, maybe go into the kitchen, look at the kettle, look at the microwave. Okay, what category does that belong to? That's whatever, electrical appliance. Okay, so go around and just make sure they understand what category means. And I said sometimes category and who and what, or the what part of that picture can be the same. So you can watch out for that one. Same thing with materials. Go around the house. There are loads of different types of materials around your house. So just just check to see, do they understand common materials, what they are, and maybe do they have the vocab for common materials? So do they have vocabulary for things like plastic, metals, wood, paper, textile, leather, different types of fibers? You know what I mean? So do they have that vocabulary? Do they understand what they are and what they mean? And can they describe something that is plastic, that is metal, that is wood? And again, use everything in and outside of the house just to help with that. And then parts. Do they understand, can they, parts, what does that mean? So, get the bike outside and just say, okay, look at this bike has lots of different parts. Maybe talk to them about that. There's so many: saddle, spokes, handle, brakes, your tires, the bell on the bike, everything. They're all, just talking about their different types of parts. And again, look at various things around the house, and just, as I said, some children get mixed up between parts and materials, so it's important maybe that they understand that. So again, making sure that they understand about the senses. Do they have all the 5 senses? Just double check that. And then you have some more. You have opposites and associations. So again, opposites. So when we're not just going to be working on, I suppose, for a child who's at a higher level, you can do things like, you can give them words, abstract words. What I mean, like something like afraid. Okay, so if you were teaching a child, just for instance, the word afraid and what that means, you could, an opposite there could be unafraid. It's not just like opposite of boy, girl. It's opposites using things like prefixes as well. So just think about it in those terms. And again, associations, what do you associate with certain things? Again, like, so if we take the helicopter, okay, what do you associate with a helicopter? You might associate a pilot. you might associate it in the sky. You associate the sky with a helicopter, you associate a pilot. So just think about things and like that, and instead making sure they understand that. And I have, so you can see there's different types of prefixes and suffixes, and just that's something that children will, as they get older and through their national school and certainly in their secondary school years, that they will be expected and that it would be good for them to know. So if you can just, as I said, think about those when you are coming up with words, think about the family of words that are used, and because they will have different meaning. But if you learn one word, if you learn a word, you can learn the family of words by using your suffixes and prefixes, and then I said that's important as well. So just to say, I suppose, and I was talking about this just a little bit earlier on, when you're starting off, I'm going to show you the video. I'm going to show the video using all of the 11 picture cards. But I suppose it's important to note that you might start off with all 11. You might start off with 2 or 3. And I suppose what I would say to you, the best thing is that the child has a good understanding of everything you're doing and of all the different types of headings. And rather than doing it all in one go and you're feeling that they're not getting it, definitely start off 1 or 2 and work on those, and you can work up. And yeah, and I suppose that's my advice to you. Bring in the siblings, bring in the brothers, the sisters, because again, you might find that you could maybe work on 2 headings with your child, but maybe the other children can be working on the other ones. So that your child is not, there's no, I suppose, huge demand on your child, but for the other things, but still they're learning as well if another sibling does it. And if it's harder for them, the sibling can give them lots of nice ideas, and then when it gets to that heading that that child is learning, maybe they'll have had that model. They'll have heard lots of things about that type of heading before. So yeah, so just, I suppose that's just to say that before you start. So just we're gonna show you a live session of what I would normally do in the clinic when we're doing this actual technique. So that is coming up next. Okay guys, welcome back. So we're now going to just show you what the session would normally involve in the clinic. Okay, so I have a bag here with some just pictures, and said you can use objects. So I'm just going to, so you can give this to the child and they pick a picture, okay, and they have their pictures there. So, so you can start off and say, okay, this thing is made of wool, okay? Category. This thing comes from the category of something you wear. Sounds beginning, middle and end. Okay, so the sound at the beginning of this word is j, and the middle sound is a p, and the end sound is a r. Senses, okay, so you can feel this, you can see it. I suppose they're the main 2 things. Parts. What parts does it have? Well, this has a sleeve and it has a cuff. Okay? Association. So what would you associate this with? I would associate this with people. Yeah, mostly people. I suppose you could maybe some dolls or something. You might have this as well. Who or what? So again, as I said, sometimes the what can go with categories. So what is it? And as I said to you, it's something that you wear. And the who, again, I've kind of talked about in the associations, it's people. Okay, so the who is the people. Actions, okay, so again, so you wear this, okay, so that's the action. And then the opposite of this. So again, the opposite of this might be a t-shirt, something like that. And again, opposite. So if you wanted to talk about rhymes next. So rhyme. So this word does not have it doesn't rhyme on its own. But if I break it down, I could say that the first syllable rhymes with bum or some. Again, these are really nice activities with the rhyming and with the sounds because they're really looking at what we call that phonological awareness, that ability to manipulate our sounds. Okay, so this is really good for children's reading, so just think about those. Well, don't forget those because that's something nice to look at as well. So where would you find this? You'd find this in maybe somebody's wardrobe, and you might find it on the line outside, a clothesline outside. Yeah, so I think that's really all I can say about it for now. Okay guys, and just one last thing just to talk about before Sheila talks about the vocabulary games and the apps. Just it would be a nice idea to take out your word template map that we've given you. And at that stage, when the child is playing, maybe you might just jot down what they're saying. And when the child is finished, maybe just again have the topic or have the thing or the object, whatever, in the middle, and then maybe just review what your child has said. So this is just good learning for them, and maybe just talk about the things that they've said, and be very complimentary, and just say, oh, look what you said, that the jumper had a sleeve, but you know what this is called? This is called a cuff. You didn't say that. So maybe just talk about that and just point out the things that they mightn't have said that they could have said, because that's, again, maybe they don't have that word cuff. And then again, if you're using it, you can use it again, and you can point it out to them again when you have a chance. Also, just if they've again forgotten a word, if they have forgotten a word, if they didn't use something, again, just talk them through that. You can reword, you can rephrase, you can add to what's been said, and so just they are learning as they go, and that they are learning because this is all about learning vocabulary. So if they don't have it, we want to teach them that, and we want to be able to use that vocabulary in their everyday, and you use it every day, so that they can learn from you as well. Okay.
Hi, my name is Sheila. I'm going to be talking to you about some vocabulary games that you can play at home to improve your child's skill in this area. The first game is categories. In this game, you come up with a list of different titles, such as a girl's name, a boy's name, a place, an object, etc. You choose an initial letter, so it could be the letter A, and then within the time frame, you have to write down or call out as many different words that fit into each category, and the winner is the person who has the most at the end of it. You can purchase games to play this, or you can play just with a simple pen and paper and with a timer as well. The next game is I Spy. So I think a lot of us are very familiar with this game, where we just say, I spy something in my little eye, beginning with, and then you give the initial letter name. This can be a nice game to work on vocabulary within maybe the house or out in the garden, and then the child has to ask yes and no questions in order to find out what the object or item is. The next game is a treasure chest game. So in this game, you would put in written words, pictures, or objects, and you go through them with your child to figure out the ones that your child knows and can explain very well, and put them out to the side, and keep the ones in the treasure chest that your child is not very familiar with. You can put these into a little treasure bag if it fits in there. And these are kind of like the treasure items that the child has to find out more information about. So over the course of possibly the week, you would then find out more information about, the function, where it's located, what it's made out of, what the word rhymes with, begins with, all the information about the word, using the visual cue cards that Fidelma has already discussed. And you would jot down this information in a little treasure notepad in the box. And when your child can explain the word very well to you, then that is removed from the box, and then you go searching for more treasure items. The next game is Jenga. So a lot of us are familiar with this game too. With this game, I just adapt it to stick on a little sentence or maybe a word onto the Jenga piece. And when that piece is taken out successfully without knocking over the tower, the player has to answer the question. So it could be like, tell me something about the word furious, or why do these two words go together? Whatever it is that you would like to put onto it. I just sellotape it onto it, and then that means you can take it off and sellotape new words onto it that you might choose from your child's school textbooks. The next game then is a pairs game that you can use with a bit of a quiz too. So on the picture pairs, whether they're cards or printouts or things that you and your child draw, when your child matches them together, they might be asked a question about what's on it. So say if the pictures on it were a tiger, you might ask your child to tell you 2 things about a tiger, or tell you how many syllables are in the word tiger, something like that, and then they get to keep the pair. Okay, so our next game then is headbands. So in this game, the player places a card on top of their head, and their job is to ask questions to figure out what is on their head. So you can use the visual cue cards that Fidelma has gone through to give your child more prompts about what kind of questions they can ask in order to figure out what they are. And then when they guess it correctly, they keep the card, and it's the next person's turn. Don't Say It then is a game where you have to describe a word without using the other words listed on the card. So for example, on a card there, it is the word bird, and you have to describe what a bird is without saying feather, wings, flying, or tweet. So you might say things like, this is an animal found in the sky, it lays eggs, it has a beak. So kind of giving any other words that might describe what it is. You can even add in some rhyming, so it rhymes with the word third, begins with a B, to work on those skills. The next game then is Who, What and Where. So this is a drawing based game. So you pick up a card, a who, so maybe a person or animal, a what, so it could be an action that someone is doing, and a where being the location. So it could be, a boy is diving into a swimming pool, and the person has to draw this, and then the others have to name what's in the picture. So working on those vocabulary skills. And then our next game is Charades for Kids. So in this game, you get a word. There are 3 different levels. So we can see there kick is level 1, thumb is level 2, and level 3 is a baby rattle. So you just have to act out what this is. It's really good for visual representations of words and being able to act out what the meaning behind a word is.
So the next section we'll move on to now is vocabulary apps. This app is called Heads Up, and in this game you can act out, or you can give verbal information about the cards that you select from the decks. There are different categories. For example, Just Kidding is one. And in this you can see that you have to help your teammate guess the word on the card without saying what it is. And for an extra challenge, try acting it out without any words at all. So if I press play, Okay, you can have an instant replay, so you can record it, or you can do it without that. So you swipe up for no instant replay. Place on your forehead. Okay, and you can act out or describe that movie. So I could go like this if I want to pass on it, if I'm not sure what to do. Okay, the next one is a bicycle. So I can act out that. And then if it's correct, it'll go green. Khan Kids Academy is another app which is free. And when you click into this, there are quite a lot of games and activities. So I'll just show you a little bit about it. So just ones. So there's a children's sign-in and a parent one. When you go to the library, you'll see all the range of activities. There's loads of storybooks and different games to play. I'll just show you this one here in Logic. And when you go down to this, you can see there'll be some word searches down here. So there are some that are down by category, like verbs and places, and just general word searches as well. So if I click into one of them, okay, you can see that I'm looking for the words of the animals down the bottom. So I see a crow here, so I'm going to drag my finger across this. And then I've gotten that one right, and you can see his color has changed. So that's just an example of a vocabulary game on that app. You can have a play around and search through all the features in the app yourselves. Another app is 4 Picks 1 Word. When you click into this, I'm going to just choose play, but you can see there's daily puzzle and there's multiplayer options too. So in this, it'll show me 4 pictures and 1 word will describe all of them, so one that's in common. So I've got a B to start with as a clue, and I'm going to drag up, I'm going to click on an O and an X. And it's correct. Okay, let's see what the next one looks like. Hit continue. So now I've got 4 pictures again, and the thing in common they have is zip, and I've got no initial letter as a clue this time. Z-I-P.
First one is World's Worst Pets vocabulary. And in this one here, I'll just give you a sample on level 1. Okay, so you have to read each word and see one that you don't know, tap it, and he'll explain what it means. So for example, if I pick on sweetly, it gives me a definition of that. Okay, so I can go through all the words there and then click, okay, I'm ready. Now I have to select the word that best fits the clue. This is a tune or a girl's name, and I'm going to pick melody. Okay, and put it up in this cage. Okay, this describes music that many people know and like, so popular. And then you might see this group on a stage, so we'll put a chorus. This group often claps and cheers an audience. Okay, you just keep going on and on like that until it eventually becomes full. Okay, so that is World's Worst Pets. Then there is, I'll go to Vocab Victor next. So this one is usually about synonyms. So in this game, you just select your level again. I'll try level 2. Okay, I have to solve 10 word pairs in 2 minutes. So as you can see, this is a bit more difficult now. So I have clue, and I have to put something that is similar meaning to it. So I'm going to go for a hint, and it goes near the dartboard, which is correct. And then I'll do one that's incorrect. So I have grief. The answer should be sadness, but I'm going to pick guitarist. And you can see it just misses the dartboard. Okay, so that's that one, a little more challenging. Then there is also charades for kids, which it's kind of what you expect it to be really. You can choose a topic area. So in a moment now, there'll be 3 topics that show up. So you have animals, toys and games, and kids stuff. You can pay for the other ones. Sorry, I'll go back into it now. But these are the free ones. So say if you had animals, you click on that. You place it up on your forehead then. And it'll count you down, and then it'll select one of the words that the opponent has to act out. Okay, so gopher could be quite a tricky one, so you might want to pass on that one and see what's next. So maybe a crocodile, you might act that out, and then if the person gets it correct, you just tip your iPad the opposite way and it'll show up green. So that is charades for kids. Then the other one I'll just show you quickly is Story Creator. So in Story Creator, you could make a book all about one particular vocabulary word or group of words you've been working on and just come up with lots of sentences using that word. Or it could be a story, and in that story you try and use the new word in it. So for example, I've written a story about the train, and it's very simple to edit the text and to add the images into it. And what you can do then is you can actually record your voice reading the text out, and you can put in multiple pages. So in my book, I wanted to use the word quickly. So you can see that I've put it in there. Yes, there are just a few apps that you might want to get started with. And yeah, hopefully you have lots of fun with them too.
Hi everyone, my name is Colleen and I'm a speech and language therapist volunteering with Enable Ireland. So following on from Sheila's discussion about vocabulary games and apps, I'm going to show you a brief overview of the vocabulary session plan that you can use at home with your child. The session plan entails a list of activities that are aimed at building your child's vocabulary, while also having fun in the process. I'm just going to show you the layout of the session plan on page 1. So these are all the activities listed on page 1 of the vocabulary session plan. These are the activities listed on page 2 of the vocabulary session plan. And on the last page of the vocabulary session plan, these are the activities listed. So I'm going to go through the list of the vocabulary activities that you can mix and match to carry out an effective and fun learning experience for your child. So the first is describing things, semantic learning, who, what, where cards, charades for kids, Jenga, quiz game, categories, I Spy, Lexicon Pirate, headbands, Don't Say It, and various vocabulary apps. Try and make these games as fun as possible for you and your child. This will help them engage in the games for longer. You should aim for about 20 minutes a session, twice a week, for 4 weeks. An example of a session could consist of 2 or 3 of these activities listed, so you can mix and match depending on what you think interests your child. A game of I Spy could be 5 to 10 minutes, and then play a game of headbands, which would be 10 to 15 minutes. Get the whole family involved and have fun with it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our interactive vocabulary session plan. Here is a list of references and links to some of the activities. Thanks.